Hello, everyone. My name is Vanessa Donnelly. I'm 34 years old. I serve in the U.S. Navy in Virginia, and I'm also a single mom to my 5-year-old son, Miles. Today, I'm going to tell you my story about the years my own family looked down on me, compared me to others, and talked about me like I was always the loser. And that disrespect is exactly where everything began. The first thing my mom said when I walked into my parents' house in Toledo was, "Shoes off, Vanessa." The carpet's new. Not high, not how was the drive, not how's Miles, just the carpet. I nudged the door shut with my hip because my hands were full. One duffel, one tote bag, and my son Miles, who was half asleep and still clutching his little blue dinosaur like it was classified property. "Hey, Grandma," I said, keeping my voice light. My mom glanced at Miles like she was checking a grocery item for bruises. "He looks tired." "He's 5, I said. Tired is his brand." My dad was in the living room pretending to watch football. I say pretending because his eyes were on the driveway every time headlights passed. He was waiting for Kara. He always waited for Kara. I set Miles down, and he immediately ran toward the kitchen because he remembered my mom kept snack packs in the same cabinet, like it was a family tradition. "Don't touch anything, buddy," I called after him. He yelled back, "I'm hungry." "Same," I muttered. I had kept my uniform on because I'd driven straight from base, and I wasn't about to change clothes in my childhood bedroom like I was 12 again. Plus, I'd learned a long time ago that if you show up looking too casual, my sister would treat it like proof your life was falling apart. If you show up in uniform, she treats it like you're showing off. There is no winning with Kara. There is only surviving Kara. My mom hovered around the dining room, adjusting napkins like the table was about to host a presidential summit. She wasn't hosting a summit. She was hosting my sister and her rich husband. That was apparently worth linen. "Where's Ray?" I asked because my dad's name is Ray, and my mom talks about him like he's a furniture brand. "He's right there," she said, as if I'd asked where the refrigerator was. Ray didn't look up. "Hey, kiddo." I walked over and gave him a quick hug. He patted my back twice. That was the full emotional budget for the evening. "You hungry?" he asked. "Always." He nodded like that was normal. Then his eyes drifted toward the window again. I didn't take it personal. Not anymore. Miles came back with a snack pack, and my mom clicked her tongue. "Vanessa, dinner's in 20 minutes. Don't spoil him." "He's a growing boy," I said. "He's always eating," she said, like that was a moral failing. I wanted to tell her that when you have a kid and your schedule changes every other day, you stop fighting the small battles. You don't police the snack pack. You police the things that actually matter, like getting him to daycare on time and making sure you're not late to a meeting because your kid decided socks were oppression. But I kept it to myself. It wasn't worth the energy. A few minutes later, the driveway lit up with headlights, and my mom practically levitated. "They're here." Ray stood up fast enough to make his knees pop. He didn't even try to hide it. The front door swung open, and Kara walked in like she was entering a room she owned. Perfect hair, perfect makeup coat that probably cost more than my monthly grocery bill. She looked at me for half a second, gave me a smile that didn't reach her eyes, then went straight to my mom. "Mom," Kara squealed, dragging out the word like it was a commercial. My mom hugged her like Kara had just returned from war instead of Houston. Behind her came Grant Holloway, my brother-in-law, the wealthy husband. He wasn't a bad-looking guy. Tall, broad shoulders, expensive boots that looked like they'd never stepped in mud. He gave my dad a firm handshake like they were closing a deal. "Ray," he said, easy and confident. "Good to see you." "Grant," my dad said, smiling wider than he had smiled at me all day. "How's Texas treating you?" Grant's smile flashed. "Busy. Can't complain." Kara finally turned her attention to me, lifting her eyebrows like she'd just remembered I existed. "Kara." She leaned in for a light hug that barely touched my shoulders. Then she glanced at my uniform and did that little laugh she always does, like she can't believe I'm still doing this. So she said loud enough for everyone to hear, "You drove all the way in that?" "I drove in my car," I said. "The uniform came with me." Grant chuckled like he was trying to be polite. My mom laughed too hard. Ray shifted like he didn't know which side of the joke he was on. Miles toddled into the room, and Kara's face changed instantly, like she was putting on a filter. "Oh my gosh, hi Miles." Miles looked at her, then looked at the bag of crackers in his hand, then back at her. He didn't say anything. He's friendly, but he's also smart. He can smell fake the way dogs smell fear. Kara crouched down. "Do you remember your Aunt Kara?" Miles shrugged. "You live far." Kara's smile twitched. "Yes, I do." Grant looked at Miles and gave him a quick nod. "Hey, little man." Miles nodded back serious like they were equals. At the dinner table, Kara took over like she always did. Her stories came out in bullet points. New house upgrades? A charity thing? Someplace they ate where the chef apparently had a private menu. She said the words, private menu, like the rest of us were supposed to applaud. My mom soaked it up. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Ray asked Grant about construction projects. Grant talked numbers and property like it was a sport. Ray leaned in, nodding, asking follow-up questions. Nobody asked me anything until my mom finally remembered to. So Vanessa, she said, slicing her roast carefully. Are you still stationed in Virginia? I blinked. Yes, Mom. I'm still stationed in Virginia. Like the last 4 years. Oh, she said, like that was new information. And Miles is in kindergarten, Preek, I said. Kara cut in immediately. Can you imagine? She laughed again. Vanessa juggling the Navy and all that mom stuff? Grant smiled politely. That's gotta be tough. It's fine, I said. Kara tilted her head. Is it though, because every time I see you, you look tired? I am tired, I said. That's what happens when you raise a kid and have a job. Kara sipped her wine and smiled. Right, a job. That word landed exactly the way she wanted it to. Like my career was a part-time hobby, I refused to quit. I chewed my food and kept my face neutral. Neutral is a skill you learn in the military. Neutral keeps you employed. Kara leaned back in her chair, like she was settling into a show. I'm just saying not everyone is cut out for that life. Some people need stability, a real routine. You know, Ray cleared his throat. Kara, she waved him off. No, I mean it. She's always been like this. Always trying to prove something. My mom did her nervous laugh again. Kara, stop. Kara's eyes flicked to my mom, then back to me. What, I'm not being mean. I'm being honest. Miles started poking his peas with his fork, making little green smears on the plate. I watched his hands and focused on breathing. Kara's smile sharpened. Plus, Vanessa, come on. You're a single mom, in the Navy. That's not exactly... She paused like she was searching for the right word, then found it. Ideal. I set my fork down slowly. Grant's eyes stayed on his plate. My dad stared at his drink like it had become fascinating. My mom looked at the centerpiece like she could disappear into it. Kara shrugged. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's true. You act like you're doing something heroic, but half the time you're gone, and you've got a kid. No wonder your marriage didn't last. My jaw tightened so hard it hurt. Kara took another sip of wine. And I'm not trying to be cruel, Vanessa. But you've got to admit it. She looked around the table like she wanted backup. She's basically a useless Navy single mom. The room went quiet. Miles made a soft sound, just humming to himself, completely unaware he'd become the only calm person in the house. I looked at Kara. I didn't blink. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't give her what she wanted. I picked up my napkin, wiped Miles's hands where he'd smeared peas onto his fingers and said, Buddy, you want some more water? He nodded. I stood, took his cup, and walked to the kitchen like my legs didn't feel heavy. Like my chest wasn't tight. Like my own family hadn't just sat there and let my sister reduce me to a punchline. In the kitchen, I filled the cup and stared at the sink for 1 second longer than necessary. Behind me, I heard Kara's laugh again, lighter now that she'd landed her hit. My mom's voice followed soft and pleading. Kara, please. Then Ray's chair scraped and he said, let's just eat. I walked back into the dining room with Miles's water and set it down in front of him. He smiled at me like I'd solved a major problem. I sat back in my chair, folded my hands in my lap, and met Kara's eyes. She held my gaze with that smug little grin like she'd reminded me of my place. I didn't give her a reaction, but something in me shifted anyway, quiet, sharp, and final, while my sister kept smiling and my family kept pretending nothing had happened. I kept my eyes on Kara long enough to make her smile fade. Then I looked down at Miles's plate, like peas were suddenly the most important mission on Earth. Eat 2 bites, I told him. He frowned. They're green. Correct, I said. That's how you know they're healthy. Kara let out another little laugh. The kind that said she'd already moved on, because in her head she'd won. My mom started talking louder about dessert, and my dad asked Grant another question about Houston, like he was trying to drown the whole thing in small talk. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. Not because I couldn't, but because I'd learned something after years in uniform. You don't waste energy fighting people who aren't listening. Later, when I finally got Miles into my old bedroom and tucked him under the faded quilt, he stared at me with that serious 5-year-old face, like he was filing a report. Mom, he whispered. Aunt Kara was mean. My throat tightened for half a second. She talks too much, I said. Why? Because she thinks it makes her important. He thought about that, then nodded like it made perfect sense. Okay. I kissed his forehead. Go to sleep. We're leaving early. He blinked. Back to Virginia. Yes. He yawned. Good. That one word hit harder than it should have. I walked out into the hallway and quietly shut the door. My mom was in the kitchen rinsing dishes that didn't need rinsing. She didn't look up right away. "Vanessa," she said finally, voice low like we were in church. Kara didn't mean it. I leaned against the counter. She meant it. She just didn't want consequences. My mom sighed. "You know how she is." "That's the problem," I said. "Everybody knows how she is. Nobody does anything about it." My mom pressed her lips together, like she wanted to argue but didn't have the energy. "Just don't make this a thing," she said. I stared at her. A thing? She called me useless. She was joking, my mom insisted. And the word joking sounded pathetic even to her. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "I'm not doing this tonight. I'm going to bed." My mom's eyes flicked toward the hallway, Miles asleep. "Yes." She softened a little. "He's a good boy." "He is," I said. "He's the best thing I've ever done." She nodded and went back to scrubbing the same plate like she could scrub the conversation off it too. I slept maybe 4 hours. Miles was up before dawn, bouncing on the bed like he was fueled by pure chaos. "Mom, can we get donuts?" "Absolutely not," I said. He grenaded. "So yes." I packed the car in the dark, moving quietly so I wouldn't wake the house. I didn't want goodbyes. I didn't want my mom trying to smooth things over. I didn't want Kara offering a fake hug, and Grant doing his polite businessman handshake. We rolled out of Toledo while the sky was still gray. On the highway, Miles fell back asleep with his dinosaur tucked under his chin. I drove with one hand on the wheel and the other gripping my coffee like it was life support. My phone buzzed once at a red light, a text from my mom. "Be safe." That was it. No apology. No, "I'm proud of you." Just be safe, like I was driving into a storm instead of back to base. Fine. By the time we hit Virginia, the traffic got stupid, the sky got brighter, and my Navy brain switched back on. Schedule, time hacks, daycare drop-off, meeting times, everything in its place. I dropped Miles at daycare, outside the gate, signed him in, and knelt to adjust his little backpack straps. "You're staying today," he said, suspicious. "Yes." "And you'll come back?" "Yes." He stared at me like he was doing a full integrity check. "Promise." "I don't make promises I can't keep," I said. "I'll be back." That satisfied him. He ran off toward the blocks without looking back. Kids are savage like that. I walked to my car and sat for a second, with my hands on the steering wheel, breathing. Then I pulled onto base like nothing in Ohio had happened, because that's the thing. The Navy doesn't care about your sister's mouth. The Navy cares if you're on time. At the Region Legal Service Office, my day hit me like a wave. Emails, calendar invites, a stack of folders on my desk that multiplied overnight like rabbits. I was halfway through my first cup of coffee when Captain Whitaker popped her head into my office. She didn't knock. She never knocked. She believed in efficiency and accountability, and she had no patience for nonsense. "Donnelly," she said. "Ma'am." She stepped inside, shut the door behind her, and scanned me like she was doing a readiness inspection. "You look like you drove all night." "I drove most of it," I said. Miles slept. I did not. She nodded like that was expected. "Sit." I sat. Captain Whitaker was a tall woman with silver hair pulled tight and eyes that missed nothing. She'd been in long enough to spot a problem before it became a crisis. She didn't do warm hugs or motivational posters. Her version of support was telling you the truth before life did. "I got your FitRep draft," she said, flipping open her folder. "It's solid, but the board package is due soon. Don't get distracted." "Yes, ma'am." Her eyes narrowed. "You're distracted right now." I didn't deny it. That would have been stupid. "Family trip?" She leaned back slightly. "Bad." I chose my words carefully. "My sister has opinions." Whitaker made a face like she'd swallowed something sour. "Of course she does." I almost laughed. Almost. She tapped the folder. "Keep your personal life personal. Don't let it bleed into your work. Especially right now." I nodded. She studied me for a second longer. "You okay?" That question coming from her meant something. I gave her the honest version that fit in a professional box. "I'm fine." Whitaker didn't accept easy answers. Fine is not a condition. It's a defense mechanism. I kept my expression neutral, still operational. That got a small brief smile out of her. "Good. Stay that way." She stood to leave, then paused at the door. "Also, Donnelly, your case at 1300. Don't walk in cold." "Yes, ma'am." As soon as she left, I opened the file for the afternoon hearing. It was an administrative separation case, sailor accused of submitting false housing documentation to claim extra allowance. The command wanted blood. The sailor claimed it was a misunderstanding. Those words usually meant someone was lying, but not always the person everybody pointed at. At 1300, the conference room filled with khakis and stiff posture. The senior chief sat rigid, jaw tight. The sailor looked like he hadn't slept in days. I'd seen that look before, the look of someone who knows their whole life can change in one meeting. I laid out the process in plain English. No drama, no speeches, just fact standards, burden of proof. The command rep started talking like the sailor was already guilty. I let him talk. People love to convict themselves with their own assumptions. When it was my turn, I asked for the documentation trail. Lease agreement. Email records, dates, signatures. The little boring stuff that decides everything. Halfway through, the command rep stumbled. A date didn't line up. He tried to talk past it. I didn't let him. Sir, I said calmly, your memo states the lease was submitted on the 12th. The system log shows it was uploaded on the 9th. Which is it? He blinked. Well, this matters, I said, still calm. Because if we're going to end someone's career, we should at least know what day we're ending it on. The room went quiet. The senior chief shifted. The sailor looked up, eyes sharp now. Hope is dangerous, but it's also fuel. We worked through the record. The truth was messy, but it was there. Someone had entered the wrong unit number on a form, and the system auto-flagged it. The sailor had been overpaid, yes, but the evidence didn't support intent to defraud. That changed the entire trajectory. Repayment corrective action counseling, yes. Career execution, not on that evidence. After the meeting, I walked back to my office with my folders tucked under my arm and my phone buzzing in my pocket. I didn't check it until I sat down, because that's another rule I live by. Handle what's in front of you first. 2 missed calls. Unknown number with the Texas area code. And a text underneath. Kara, call me. It's urgent. I stared at Kara's text until the screen dimmed. Then I called her back before I could talk myself out of it. She answered on the first ring like she'd been holding the phone. Vanessa, she said sharp. What's urgent, I asked. A short pause. I'm having you down here next month. That was not urgent. That was Kara being Kara. I'm not taking leave for your social calendar, I said. It's not a party, she snapped. It's a family thing. Kara, every family thing in Texas is a performance, I said. You hand out trophies and I'm the cautionary tale. She exhaled hard through her nose. Oh my God. Can you stop being so dramatic? Mom and Dad want you here? I almost laughed. Mom and Dad want an Instagram picture where we look functional. You're coming, she said, like she was ordering room service. Grant's hosting a dinner. Some of his friends. It matters. It matters to who I asked. To you or to his business. Both, she said. And bring Miles. Everyone wants to see him. That one hit my soft spot. Everyone. Like my kid was a prop too. I didn't say no right away, which was my first mistake. Kara, I said carefully. I'm on duty. I have a caseload. I have a kid. You can't just... Vanessa! She cut in, voice sweet, in that fake way you're always so busy. It's like you're allergic to fun. Just request leave. It's not that hard. Leave isn't hard if you have a job where nobody dies if you're gone. I looked at the stack of folders on my desk. Then I thought of Miles, who'd been asking why Grandma never came to Virginia. I thought of him hearing Kara's tone at dinner. I thought of him growing up believing this is how family talks to you. Fine, I said, but I'm not staying long. Kara's smile traveled through the phone. Good. I'll send details. She hung up like she'd won. 3 weeks later, I was in Houston traffic with Miles in the back seat, asking if Texas had dinosaurs. Texas has plenty of things that shouldn't be alive, I told him. And he laughed. Like that was the funniest thing he'd ever heard. Kara's neighborhood was the kind of place where the sidewalks looked unused. Everything was manicured, every mailbox matched. The houses were big in that confident way, like they knew they'd never have to explain themselves. Miles pressed his face to the window. Mom, is this where rich people live? It's where people who want to look rich live, I said. He nodded like he understood economics now. Kara's house was exactly what you'd expect. Stone entryway, tall doors, a yard you could land a helicopter in. The kind of house that makes you check your shoes before you step inside, because you know someone will notice a speck of dirt and act like you brought in a biohazard. Kara opened the door before I knocked. She was dressed like she was going to a photo shoot, not a dinner. There she is, she said, throwing her arms wide. My sister! She kissed the air near my cheek. Not my cheek, near it. Miles looked up at her. Hi. She crouched and hugged him properly, because Kara loves an audience. Hi, baby. You got so big. Miles said I'm 5. I know, Kara said, like she'd been tracking his growth on a spreadsheet. Grant appeared behind her, holding a glass of something expensive. He had on a button-down shirt that probably never met a wrinkle. Vanessa, he said, polite. Good to see you. Grant, I said. He glanced at Miles. Hey, bud. Miles stared at him for one long second, then said, Do you have snacks? Grant blinked. Kara laughed too loudly. We have plenty of snacks, honey. Inside the house smelled like candles and money. Kara gave me the grand tour, even though I'd been there once before, and everything was a little bigger, a little newer, a little more aggressively expensive. This is the renovated kitchen, she said, sliding her hand across a marble counter like she was petting it. Grant surprised me. Grant took a sip of his drink like he'd purchased the concept of surprise. This is the wine room, Kara continued. And this is the sitting room, but we don't really sit in it. It's more for, for being seen, I said. Kara shot me a look. For entertaining. Sure. The dinner guests started arriving around 6. 2 couples and 1 guy with a watch that looked like a weapon. They all greeted Grant like he was the mayor. Kara floated around them, laughing, touching arms, doing that social dance where you pretend you're listening while you're actually scanning for who has more status than you. Miles sat on a bar stool, eating crackers, perfectly content. I kept him close because if he wandered into that house unsupervised, Kara would put him in a designer outfit and take photos like she'd birthed him herself. One of the women, a blonde with perfect teeth, leaned toward Kara and said, "So this is your sister?" Kara smiled. "Yes. Vanessa. She's in the Navy." The blonde's eyes flicked to me. "Oh, like..." "Active duty?" "Yes," I said. Kara jumped in. "She's always been into that tough girl thing." I turned my head slowly. "It's called a career." Kara laughed like I'd made a joke. "She's a single mom too," she added, "and it wasn't necessary." "It never is." She said it like she was adding a fun fact about an unusual pet. The blonde made a face like she didn't know what to say. "Wow, that must be a lot." "It's fine," I said, for the millionth time in my life. Kara's smile sharpened. "Is it though? Because I don't know how you do it." "Grant would never let me struggle like that." Grant's mouth twitched. "We take care of each other." Kara leaned into him, like she'd just proven a point. Dinner was served in a dining room so formal, it made my parents' Ohio table look like a picnic. There were place cards, actual place cards. Kara had my name written in a script font, which felt like insult and effort at the same time. Miles's place card had a little dinosaur sticker. That part was cute. I'll give her that. As soon as everyone sat, Kara launched into her favorite topic, Kara. She talked about charity events, travel, and how busy Grant was. Grant talked about contracts and development, and some property deal that made the other men nod like they were in a secret club. Then Kara turned the conversation toward me like she was aiming a spotlight. "So, Vanessa," she said, smiling bright. "How's the Navy treating you?" There it was, the setup. "It's work," I said. "I like my job." Kara tilted her head. "Still doing that legal stuff?" "Yes." "Oh my God," she laughed. "You always make it sound so serious." "It is serious," I said. Grant's friend with the watch leaned back. "Legal in the military, that like court-martial stuff." "Sometimes," I said. "Sometimes it's advising commands, making sure people's rights are protected, keeping the process clean." Kara waved her hand like she was swatting a fly. "Vanessa loves paperwork." I looked at her. "Paperwork keeps people from getting railroaded." Kara smiled, not missing a beat. "Sure. I just mean it's not exactly exciting." The blonde chimed in, trying to be friendly. "But that's important." Kara gave her a look like, "Please don't validate my sister." Then Kara leaned forward, voice louder. "It's just, Vanessa has always liked the hard way." I tried to tell her, marry someone stable, pick a normal path. But no, she wanted to play hero, and now she's a single mom with a government paycheck. There it was again, that casual disrespect dressed up like a funny story. I didn't react. I cut Miles' chicken into small pieces and handed him his fork. Kara's eyes flicked to my hands. "See, that's what I mean. You're always in mom mode. Even at dinner." "I'm his mom," I said. Kara shrugged. "Right? It's just, you used to have so much potential." Grant's friends went quiet in that awkward way people do when they realize they're watching something they shouldn't be watching. Grant didn't stop her. Of course he didn't. Kara's mouth was part of the package. I looked across the table and met her eyes. "I'm doing fine." Kara's smile got wider. "If you say so." Miles dropped his fork and said loud and innocent, "My mom is the boss at work." The table froze. I felt a tiny pulse of pride I hadn't asked for. Kara laughed high and sharp. "Oh, that's adorable. Sweetie, your mom's not the boss. She just works for the government." Miles frowned. "She wears a uniform. That means she's in charge." Grant's friend with the watch chuckled under his breath. Kara's smile tightened. I reached over and fixed Miles' napkin. "Eat your dinner," I told him gently. Kara lifted her wine glass like she was closing an argument. Anyway, she said, I'm just grateful I made better choices. I swallowed the urge to say something that would get me thrown out of the house. Instead, I stood. Miles needs the bathroom. Kara blinked. There's a restroom, right? I've got it, I said, and I took my son's hand and walked out. My heart beating steady, my face calm, because the last thing I was going to do was give Kara the satisfaction of watching me crack in her palace. I shut the bathroom door behind Miles and let out one slow breath through my nose, the kind I usually saved for dealing with senior officers who thought volume was a leadership style. Miles climbed onto the step stool and stared at himself in the mirror. Aunt Kara was being weird. She's always weird, I said, turning on the faucet. He washed his hands like he was doing a science experiment. She said, you're not the boss. I handed him a paper towel. Sometimes people say dumb things when they feel insecure. Miles considered that. Is she insecure? I almost smiled. Yes. He nodded like he'd just solved it, hopped down and grabbed my hand. Can we go home now? Soon, I said. We have to be polite first. He groaned like politeness was a punishment. Honestly, same. When we walked back into the dining room, Kara had already regained control of the conversation. She was laughing too loudly at something Grant's friend said, leaning into Grant's shoulder like she was trying to fuse herself to him. Grant smiled in that polished way, pleasant, distant, checked out. I sat back down and kept my face neutral. Miles climbed into his chair and started eating again, like nothing had happened. Kids have an incredible ability to move on from nonsense. Adults collect it like souvenirs. Kara glanced at me, eyes gleaming. Everything okay? Fine, I said. She held my gaze like she wanted to see a crack. Then she turned back to her guests and continued talking about a weekend trip to Aspen, like it was a casual grocery run. Dinner finally ended, and the guests filtered out with hugs and compliments and promises to do this again soon. Kara soaked it up. Grant walked them out with that firm handshake and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Once the house quieted, Kara's whole posture shifted. Her shoulders dropped half an inch. The smile faded. She rubbed her temple like she had a headache. You can stay in the guest room, she said to me already, sounding tired. I booked a hotel, I said. Miles sleeps better when I can control the noise. Kara's eyes narrowed. Wow, okay. It's not personal, I said. It's parenting. She gave a small laugh that had no humor. Right. Because everything with you is always the hard way. I didn't answer. I buckled Miles into his car seat and drove to the hotel while he hummed to himself, completely unfazed. I wished I had that level of emotional insulation. The next morning, I took Miles to a little park by the hotel. Kara didn't come. Grant didn't call. Nobody asked if we got in okay or if Miles slept. Kara sent one text, lunch at 1. Don't be late. At lunch, she was back in host mode. Cute outfit, perfect hair. Smiling like we weren't related. She had picked a restaurant that was very obviously designed for people who liked being seen. Lots of glass. Lots of expensive light fixtures. Lots of people talking about money with their whole chest. Miles ate fries and asked questions about the fish tank. Kara sipped sparkling water and leaned forward. So she said, Did you think about what I said last night? I looked up. Which part? The part where you insulted me, or the part where you congratulated yourself? Kara's smile twitched. Oh my God, you're so sensitive. I'm not sensitive, I said. I'm tired. There's a difference. She rolled her eyes. I'm just saying, Vanessa. You could have had an easier life. I have a life, I said. It's fine. Kara's gaze flicked to Miles. Well, I hope he doesn't grow up resenting you. My hand tightened around my water glass. Don't talk about my kid. Kara held up her hands like she was the victim. Relax. It was a joke. It wasn't funny, I said. For a second, her expression hardened. Then she slapped the smile back on because a server walked by. That's Kara. Always performing. We left Texas the next day. Miles slept almost the entire drive to the airport, and I felt my body relax the second the plane took off. It wasn't that I hated my sister's house. It was that I hated who I became in it, quiet, careful, constantly swallowing words. Back in Virginia, life snapped into place like a uniform buttoning up. Daycare drop-off, base, meetings, emails, Miles's dinner, laundry, repeat. I didn't think about Kara for a while, which felt like progress. Then 2 weeks later, my phone rang at 11:47 p.m. Kara's name flashed on the screen. I stared at it. Late-night calls from Kara were never good. And Kara didn't call unless she wanted something. I answered anyway. What? Her voice was tight. He's not home. I sat up in bed. Who? Grant, she snapped like I was the idiot. He said he had meetings. He always has meetings now. I glanced at the clock again. It's almost midnight. I know what time it is, she said. I could hear pacing in her voice. He's been doing this for weeks. I rubbed my forehead. Okay, what do you want me to do with that information? Kara exhaled sharply. Don't be rude. I'm calling because, I don't know, something feels off. That caught my attention, not because I cared about her marriage, but because Kara never admitted uncertainty. Kara lived on certainty. Certainty was her oxygen. Off how I asked. He comes home late, she said. And when he does, he smells like cologne that isn't his. Like, different. And he's on his phone the whole time. And he has this look like he's somewhere else. I didn't respond for a second. Not because it was shocking, but because it was predictable. Men like Grant didn't like being married to a woman who treated life like a trophy shelf. And women like Kara didn't notice the shelf was cracking until the trophies fell. Kara, I said slowly, have you asked him? Of course I asked him, she snapped. He says I'm being paranoid. He says I'm being dramatic. I almost laughed. That's rich. Don't do that, she hissed. Don't enjoy this. I'm not enjoying it, I said. I'm listening. She went quiet for a beat, then softer. Do you think he's seeing someone? I stared at the dark ceiling. I don't know. Yes, you do, she said, voice rising. You always act like you're above everything, like you know everything. I kept my tone flat. Kara, I don't know your husband's schedule, but if you're worried, you need to look at facts, not feelings. She scoffed. Facts? You and your facts. It's how I stay employed, I said. Kara's breathing sounded uneven now. He was on a business trip last week. Dallas. Or maybe Austin. I don't even know. And when he came back, he had this receipt in his jacket pocket. A restaurant. 2 people, and it wasn't me. That was the first real detail. What restaurant? I asked. I don't know, she said quickly. I threw it away. I didn't want to look crazy. I closed my eyes. Kara. I know, she snapped. Don't lecture me. I'm going to lecture you, I said. If you think something's wrong, stop destroying your own evidence. There was silence on the line, and for a second, I could picture her in that big house, pacing on expensive floors, suddenly realizing none of it could protect her. Finally, she said, he's been moving money around. That made my stomach tighten. What do you mean? I asked. I don't know, she said. Sometimes I see him on his laptop and he closes it when I walk in. And there are emails, business stuff. And then I got this notification from some company. Something about a fee, like a monthly fee. A fee for what I asked. I don't know, she repeated. It had some letters, like an LLC. I sat up straighter, the sleep leaving my body. Did you screenshot it? No, she said, defensive. Why would I screenshot it? I'm not a psycho. I let out a slow breath. Kara, screenshotting your own financial notices is not psycho. It's basic adulthood. She was quiet again. Then she said bitter, you love this. You love that my life isn't perfect. I kept my voice steady. I don't love anything about this. But if you're calling me at midnight, you're scared. And if you're scared, you need to start paying attention. Kara swallowed and I heard it. The little crack. Fine, she said. What do I do? I didn't tell her to hire a private investigator. I didn't tell her to confront him dramatically. That's movie stuff. Real life is paperwork and patience. You start small, I said. You save anything you can. Emails, notifications, bank statements, anything that looks weird. And you stop confronting him without a plan. Kara's voice came out thin. He'll notice. He's already noticing you, I said. He's just pretending he isn't. She didn't answer. Then quieter, Vanessa. Do you think he could leave me? I stared at the wall, thinking of all the ways my own life had shifted overnight. Not because I'd done something wrong, but because someone else made a choice. I think I said you need to be ready for anything. Kara let out a shaky breath, like she hated that answer. Before she hung up, my phone buzzed with a new message from her, an email forward with the subject line still intact. The preview showed the words, property management fee, and a string of letters that looked like a company name. She must have found it while we were talking. I didn't respond with a heart or a hug. I just saved it, because feelings fade and files don't. I forwarded Kara's email to my personal address, flagged it, and set my phone face down, like I could keep her drama contained by sheer force of will. The next morning, I was in uniform, packing Miles' lunch with one hand and signing a daycare form with the other when my phone lit up again. Kara. At 7:12 a.m. That alone was enough to tell me this wasn't another, he's late again, complaint. I answered, what happened? Her voice came out high and breathless. My card got declined. I paused mid-sandwich. Which card? All of them, she snapped. My debit, my credit, even the one he put in my name. It just beeped and said denied. In front of everyone. I pictured Kara in a Texas grocery store, standing under bright lights, holding organic whatever, with strangers watching her swipe a card that didn't work. Kara could handle a lot of things. She could not handle embarrassment. "Where are you?" I asked. "In the parking lot," she said. "I'm sitting in my car, and I can't breathe." "Okay," I said, keeping my voice flat. "Breathe. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. Don't talk to me like I'm your sailor!" She snapped, then immediately started breathing anyway. I leaned against the counter. Miles was watching me like he knew the tone. I gave him a small smile and mouthed, "It's fine." It wasn't. "Kara," I said, "have you called the bank?" "I did," she said. "They said there's a hold." "A hold, Vanessa." "They wouldn't tell me why. They said the account owner has to—" "The account owner," I repeated. She went quiet. That was the answer. "Grant," she said smaller. "It's Grant. He's the primary." My stomach tightened. "Okay, go home." "I can't go home," she snapped. "He's home. He texted me to come home." "That's exactly why you'd go home," I said. "But you don't go alone if you think it's going to get ugly." "It won't get ugly," she insisted too fast. "Grant doesn't do ugly. He's controlled. Controlled men still do damage. They just do it in clean sentences." I lowered my voice. "Kara, listen. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. And if he hands you papers, take pictures." She made a sound like she wanted to argue, then swallowed it. "Fine." I hung up and stared at Miles's lunchbox like it had insulted me. Miles tugged my sleeve. "Mom, are you mad?" "I'm thinking," I said. "About work." "About family," I corrected. He frowned. "Family is loud." That was the most accurate thing anyone had said in weeks. I dropped Miles at daycare, walked back to my car, and sat there for a full 30 seconds with my hands on the wheel. Then I pulled out my phone and texted Kara one line. "Do not delete messages. Screenshot everything." She didn't reply. 3 hours later, she called again. This time she wasn't breathless. She was shaking. "He has a lawyer," she said. I closed my office door. "Slow down. Where are you?" "In the house," she whispered. "In the kitchen. He's in the study." "Is he there with someone?" "Not physically," she said. "But his lawyer is on speakerphone. Like I'm a contractor he's firing." That image made my jaw clench. "What did he say?" I asked. Kara's voice cracked. "He said we need space. He said I should stay somewhere else for a while." "For a while," I repeated. "And he said, it's best if we keep things civil," she said, like she was quoting him word for word. And then his lawyer said something about an agreement, something about terms. "Did they give you papers?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "They put a folder on the table, like they planned it." "Of course they planned it." "What's in it?" I asked. "I don't know," she whispered. "I didn't open it yet." "Open it," I said. "And take photos." Kara exhaled sharply. "Vanessa, I feel sick." "I know," I said. "Do it anyway." I heard rustling, then a sharp inhale. "Oh my God," she said. "It says I have to move out." I kept my tone calm. "It's a proposal, not a court order." "It says the house is his," she said, voice rising. "It says the accounts are his. It says he's offering me a monthly payment if I sign and waive." She choked on the word. "Waive rights. Community property rights," I guessed. "Yes," she snapped. "How did you—" "Because rich men don't suddenly go broke," I said. "They just start writing scripts where you're the extra." Kara made a sound between a sob and a laugh. "This can't be happening." "It's happening," I said. "You need to focus." "He's acting like I'm crazy," she whispered. "He keeps saying I'm being dramatic. He keeps saying don't make this a thing." I almost smiled, and it wasn't humor. It was recognition. My mother's favorite line coming out of Grant's mouth. Same playbook, different house. "Kara," I said, "where are your personal documents?" "What?" "Passport, birth certificate." "Social security card," I said. "Do you know where they are?" She hesitated. "In the safe." "Do you have the code?" "Yes." "Get them," I said, quietly. "What are you saying?" she snapped, panic rising. "That I'm leaving. I'm saying be prepared," I said. "Do you have somewhere to go tonight?" Kara went silent. That told me everything. "Vanessa," she said, voice low and furious, "he can't just throw me out. I'm his wife." "He can try," I said. "And the first move he made was cutting your access. That's not about love. That's about control." Kara's breathing got fast again. I gave up everything for him. I didn't respond to that, because she had given up things, and she had also used her perfect life as a weapon. Both could be true. Then her voice shifted. He said something else. "What?" Kara swallowed. He said your life is a warning." I froze. "Excuse me?" "He said he never wanted a marriage like yours," she whispered. "He said he didn't want to end up with a wife who plays soldier and thinks she's tough." My hand tightened around my phone. "Kara," I said, slow repeat, exactly what he said. She hesitated, then spit it out like poison. He said, "Your sister is a useless Navy single mom. I'm not going to let you become that." Silence filled my office. For a second, I couldn't hear anything but the hum of the air conditioner and my own breathing. Then something in me went cold. Not anger exactly, not even hurt, just clarity. "Kara," I said, "listen to me." That sentence. That's not just an insult, it's leverage. He's using your fear of becoming me to control you. Kara's voice cracked again. "I hate you right now." "I know," I said. "You hate me because it's easier than facing him." She made a choking sound. "He told me to pack." "Okay," I said. "Pack essentials only. Documents, medication, a few clothes, anything sentimental you can't replace. Take pictures of everything valuable in the house." "That's insane," she whispered. "It's smart," I corrected. I could hear footsteps in the background, and Kara's voice dropped to a whisper. "He's coming. Keep your phone on you," I said. "Do not leave it on a counter, and don't argue. The goal is to get out with your options intact." Kara didn't answer. I heard the faint click of a door opening on her end, then Grant's voice low and controlled. "Kara, are you on the phone again?" Her breath caught. I stayed silent, listening. Kara forced her voice steady. "I'm talking to Vanessa." There was a pause. I could practically hear him smiling. "And what is Vanessa going to do?" Grant said, calm as ice. "Write you a strongly worded memo." My fingers dug into my palm. Kara didn't respond fast enough, so Grant filled the space. "Pack what you need," he said. "We'll keep this civil. The driver will be here in 20 minutes. "A driver? Of course." Kara whispered into the phone, "Vanessa, hey." Then the call cut off. I stared at my screen for 1 second, then I stood up so fast, my chair rolled back into the wall. Across the office, sailors were laughing about something in the hallway, normal life moving on. I grabbed my keys, my notebook, and my calm face, because I couldn't do anything from Virginia in real time. But I could make sure Kara didn't get steamrolled by a man who thought money made him untouchable. I tossed my notebook into my bag, walked out of my office, and stopped so abruptly in the hallway that a second-class petty officer almost ran into me. "Ma'am, sorry," he said, stepping back. "It's fine," I said automatically, then turned and headed straight for Captain Whitaker's office. Her door was open. Of course it was. Captain Whitaker didn't believe in closed doors, unless someone was being counseled or fired. She looked up from her computer. "Donnelly." "Ma'am," I said. "I need to request short notice leave." "Family emergency." Her eyes narrowed. "Define emergency." "My sister's husband just cut off her access to money and told her to leave their house with a lawyer on speakerphone," I said. "She's driving back to Ohio." Whitaker's expression didn't soften, but her tone dropped. "Are you directly involved?" "No, ma'am," I said. "I'm not representing anyone. I'm just trying to keep her from making a stupid mistake." Whitaker studied me for a beat. "Your sister, the one who runs her mouth?" "Yes, ma'am." Whitaker's mouth twitched. "Of course." She tapped her pen on the desk once. "You can take 48 hours. Not a week, not a Texas recon mission. 48 hours. "Yes, ma'am." "And you keep your nose clean," she added. "No social media, no public scenes, and you do not under any circumstances practice law outside your lane." "I won't," I said. "I'm not licensed in Texas." Whitaker nodded satisfied. "Good, go." I walked out, already pulling my phone up to book flights, then stopped when I saw the daycare reminder on my screen. Miles's class picture day tomorrow. Of course it was. I called the daycare first, then my babysitter, then my neighbor who owed me a favor after I jump-started her car last month. The reality of being a single mom is that you can deploy a whole plan in under 10 minutes, but it always costs something. Money favors guilt, pick one. By 5 p.m., I had Miles picked up, fed and asleep, a suitcase half-packed, and my brain running on pure logistics. Kara texted me a photo at 8:06 p.m., a pile of boxes by a front door. Sharpie labels, her clothes, shoes, personal. Then a second photo, a folder with a law firm letterhead. Then a third, a close-up of a paragraph with the words, "waive and spousal support," underlined in yellow, like Grant's lawyer thought Kara was a third grader. "Kara, I'm on my way to Ohio. Mom says come now." I stared at the screen. She hadn't said please. That was Kara's version of humility. "I didn't fly to Texas." It wouldn't help. The scene already happened, and Kara was already out. What she needed now wasn't a hero entrance. It was a plan. I replied, "Don't sign anything. Don't talk to his lawyer alone. Keep all texts. I'll meet you in Ohio." She didn't respond with thanks. She responded with hurry. I landed in Detroit the next morning, drove to Toledo, and pulled into my parents' driveway right as Kara's SUV rolled up behind me. She got out looking like someone had been dropped from a great height. No perfect hair, no sharp outfit. Oversized hoodie, sunglasses, even though it was cloudy, jaw clenched hard enough to crack teeth. My mom flew out the front door like she'd been waiting for the sound of tires. "Oh, honey," Sharon cried, wrapping Kara in a hug. Ray followed face tight, saying nothing, which was his usual emotional contribution. Kara didn't cry right away. She stood stiff in my mom's arms, then her shoulders started shaking. My mom shot me a look like I was supposed to fix it. I didn't move. Not yet. Kara finally looked at me, and there was something raw in her face. Fear, anger, humiliation, all stacked together. "Say it," she snapped. I raised an eyebrow. "Say what?" "That you told me so," she said. "Go ahead. Enjoy it." I kept my voice even. "I'm not here to gloat." Kara let out a harsh laugh. "Of course you're not. You're the saint. The disciplined Navy saint." "Drop the sarcasm," I said. "We don't have time." That got her attention. Kara only respected urgency when it wasn't hers. Inside, my parents had cleared the kitchen table like it was a war room. Kara dumped the folder onto it and slid it toward me. "Look," she said. "He's trying to leave me with nothing." Ray finally spoke. "Grant's a good man." Kara snapped her head toward him. "A good man doesn't lock his wife out of her own account." My dad's face tightened. "We don't know the whole story." Kara barked a laugh. "Oh my God, you're doing it again." My mom jumped in, voice trembling. "Kara, please, we're stressed." I looked at my mother. Imagine how stressed Kara is. My mom blinked like she hadn't considered that. Kara shoved a paper toward me. "He says the house is his. The cars are his. The investments are his. He's offering me a transition allowance if I sign and keep quiet." She said keep quiet with disgust, like she knew exactly what it meant. Shut up and disappear. I didn't touch the papers yet. I looked at Kara instead. "Kara," I said, "are you asking for help or are you asking for someone to yell at?" She glared. "I'm asking you to fix it." "Not an answer," I said. Kara's nostrils flared. "You're the lawyer. You fix it." "I'm a military attorney," I said. "I don't practice Texas divorce law. I'm not walking into a courthouse down there and pretending I can. That's not how real life works." Kara's eyes went wide with anger. "So you're going to let him do this to me?" "I'm going to stop you from making it worse," I corrected. "But you need an actual Texas family law attorney." Kara slammed her hand on the table. "He already has one." "Good," I said. "Then you get one too." My mom leaned in. "Vanessa, can't you just talk to someone? Use your Navy connections." I turned to her. "Mom, this is not Top Gun. I can't call the Pentagon and make her husband stop being trash." Ray's mouth twitched like he almost laughed. Then he remembered he wasn't allowed to have joy. Kara's face crumpled for half a second. Then she grabbed a glass of water and downed it like it was medicine. "I don't have my own money," she said quieter. He cut me off. "Okay," I said. "We handle that first. Basic needs." Kara stared at me. "So you will help?" I held her gaze. "I'll help with strategy and paperwork. I'll help you get the right people. But you're going to follow rules." Her jaw tightened. "Rules?" "Yes," I said. "Because you're emotional right now, and emotional people make expensive mistakes." Kara's eyes flashed. "You think I'm emotional? You're the one who never—" I cut her off. "Rule 1, you do not contact Grant unless it's through counsel or documented in writing. No late-night calls. No screaming. No, I gave you everything speeches." Kara's lips parted like she wanted to argue. "Rule 2. I continued, you do not sign anything, not a single page. Not just to show good faith. Nothing." Kara swallowed. "Rule 3. I said you give me everything. Every text, every email, every notification, every account you know about, every weird fee, every LLC name. No hiding, no, I didn't think it mattered." Kara's face went pale. "He has companies. A lot of them. I didn't pay attention." "Start paying attention," I said, "because the details are how he's winning." My mom wiped at her eyes. "Vanessa, can't we just keep this private, the church?" I looked at her. "If you say the church one more time, I'm going to start charging rent for living in your fear." Ray cleared his throat. "Vanessa." "No," I said, still calm. "They've let Kara talk to me however she wanted for years, because it was easier. I'm not doing that now." Kara stared down at her hands. Her nails were chipped. I'd never seen her with chipped nails. "What do I do?" she whispered. I finally picked up the papers, flipped through them, and saw exactly what I expected. Vague numbers, confident language, and a whole lot of missing information. "He's counting on you being embarrassed," I said. "He wants you to sign fast so you can stop feeling exposed." Kara's eyes filled, but she didn't cry. "I don't want to be you," she said, suddenly bitter. I didn't flinch. "You already said that sentence out loud. Now we're going to use it." Kara looked up, confused. "I'm calling someone," I said, pulling out my phone. "A Texas attorney. And a forensic accountant." We're going to find out what's actually there. Kara's voice came out small. You really think he's hiding money? I stared at the line that offered her a transition allowance and laughed once, short and humorless. Kara, I said, men don't offer charity when they're innocent. I stepped out onto my parents' back porch with my phone pressed to my ear because if I stayed in that kitchen one more minute, I was going to start handing out citations for nonsense. The late fall air in Ohio was cold enough to wake me up. I breathed in, stared at the empty yard, and waited while the line rang. Monroe Law, a woman's voice answered crisp and alert. This is Vanessa Donnelly, I said. I was referred by. I know who you are, she cut in. Mark Davidson texted me. He said you're organized and stubborn. That's the nicest thing anyone's said to me all week, I replied. Alicia Monroe gave a small laugh. Your sister is Kara Donnelly Holloway. Yes, and her husband is Grant Holloway, she said like she already didn't like him. Yes. Okay, Alicia said. I'm licensed in Texas. I handle high-asset divorces. Your sister is going to hate the process. Good, I said. She needs humbling. Alicia chuckled again. All right, I need the basics. Marriage-length kids, what's in her name, what's not, any agreements? I looked through the papers Kara slammed down. Marriage is 8 years, no kids. There's a postnup. She didn't read it. Alicia made a sound like she'd heard that line 1,000 times. Of course she didn't. And he cut her off, I added. Bank access, cards, everything. Alicia's tone sharpened. That's the real emergency. We may need temporary orders to force access to marital funds for living expenses. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. What do you need from us? I need documents, not feelings. Statements, tax returns, account numbers. The postnup property addresses the L. LC. Names any emails with weird fees, she said. I also want a timeline. I can build that, I said. I'm sure you can, she replied. But you're not representing her. I'm not, I said quickly. I'm Navy. I'm not touching court. Good, Alicia said. Because Texas courts don't care that you're in uniform. They care about whether you're licensed. That was the first time in days I felt like I was talking to an adult. One more thing, Alicia added. If he offered her money to sign and stay quiet, I want that in writing. It's in the agreement, I said. Transition allowance. Alicia snorted. I hate that phrase. Same, I said. We scheduled a video consult for the next morning. I hung up and walked back inside to find Kara pacing like a caged animal, and my mother whispering to her like a nervous therapist. Kara spun toward me. Well, we have a Texas attorney, I said. Kara's eyes narrowed. Is she good? She's not going to hold your hand, I said. So yes. Kara's mouth twitched like she wanted to be offended, but didn't have the energy. And we need a forensic accountant. I added already, pulling up another contact. Kara blinked. Why? Because your husband has companies, I said. Companies mean paper trails. Paper trails mean buried assets. Kara's jaw tightened. He built that business. And you were married to him while he built it, I said. Texas is community property. That matters. Kara stared at me like I just told her the earth was round. So I get half the sticky. You get what the law says you get, I corrected. But only if we can prove what exists. My mom wrung her hands. Vanessa, do we really need to do all this? Can't Kara just talk to him calmly? Kara whipped her head around. Mom, he sent me legal papers. Calmly. My dad spoke from his chair voice, cautious. Maybe Grant's just trying to protect himself. People get scared. I looked at him. Dad, the only thing Grant is scared of is sharing. That shut him up. I called Evan Price right after. He answered with a gruff, yeah, this is Vanessa Donnelly, I said. I was referred by Mark Davidson. I need forensic support for a Texas divorce case. High asset. Likely concealment. There was a pause, then Evan said, sounds fun. Your definition of fun is terrifying, I said. I'm an accountant, he replied. We don't do joy. We do patterns. Perfect. Over the next 24 hours, my parents' kitchen turned into an evidence factory. I set up folders, digital and physical. I made Kara print out what she could pull emails, find account numbers, dig up tax returns. Every time she tried to drift into rage, I pulled her back. Facts only, I told her. You can scream later. Kara slammed her laptop shut once. You act like emotions are a crime. No, I said. Emotions are just useless in court. That made her glare, but she opened the laptop again. We found the postnup in an email thread from 3 years earlier with the subject line, just paperwork. Kara had signed it electronically. Why did you sign this? I asked. Kara's face flushed. He said it was for liability, business protection. And you believed him, I said, not as a question. Kara snapped. I trusted my husband. I didn't pile on. The evidence was doing that for me. Evan joined by video call that evening. He wore a plain shirt, looked half asleep, and somehow still seemed sharper than everyone in the house combined. Okay, he said, scrolling through what we uploaded. Holloway Construction, Holloway Development, Holloway Holdings, lots of Holloways. Classic. Kara leaned toward the screen. That's normal. Evan didn't even look up. Normal for hiding. Kara bristled. Excuse me? Evan finally looked at her. Ma'am, I'm not insulting you. I'm explaining reality. Multiple entities can be legitimate. They can also be used to move money like a shell game. Kara swallowed. So he's hiding money. Evan shrugged. I don't know yet. But I know where to look. He pointed at a line item on one bank statement. What's this monthly payment labeled PM fee? Kara frowned. I told Vanessa about that. Property management fee? Evan nodded slowly. Property management for what property? Kara hesitated. Our house, maybe. Evan's eyebrows lifted. Your house doesn't need a third-party property manager if you live there. The silence in the kitchen got thick. Kara's voice came out smaller. Then what is it? Evan scrolled again. We'll find out. Alicia Monroe joined the next morning and went straight to business. No sympathy, no pep talk, just steps. We're filing for temporary orders, she said. He can't starve her out. He can try, but the court doesn't love that. Kara stiffened. He said it's his money. Alicia's smile was thin. He says a lot of things. Texas law doesn't care what he says. Then Alicia looked at Kara dead on. Are you willing to go on record that he cut you off and pressured you to sign? Kara's lips parted, then closed. Pride tried to rise up. I cut in calm but firm. Yes, she is. Kara shot me a glare. You are, I repeated, and she heard something in my voice that told her this was not a debate. Kara swallowed hard. Yes, she said. I am. Alicia nodded. Good. Then you don't contact him except through counsel. If he texts you, you send it to me. Kara nodded fast. Okay. My mom wiped her eyes. This is so messy. It was messy the moment he made lawyers his messengers, I said. Over the next week, Alicia filed and the machine started moving. Requests for records, notices, legal language that sounded cold but did one thing beautifully. It forced Grant to respond. Grant's attorney sent back a smug email calling Kara emotionally volatile and financially uninformed and offering the same sad transition allowance again. Kara's hands shook when she read it. He thinks I'm stupid. He thinks you'll panic, I said. That's different. Evan flagged transactions that looked structured, split payments, just under thresholds, recurring transfers with vague descriptions, money flowing between entities like it was being washed. Kara stared at the spreadsheet like it was written in code. This is insane, she whispered. This is Tuesday for men like Grant, Evan muttered. Then Alicia messaged hearing scheduled. My mom immediately started spiraling about what people would say. Kara started spiraling about what Grant would do. I didn't spiral. I built a binder, tabs, timestamps, copies. Because I'd learned in the Navy that panic is optional but preparation is not. When Kara asked if she should call Grant one last time to clear the air, I took her phone out of her hand and set it face down on the table. No, I said. He doesn't get a private conversation to rewrite the story. I slid the binder across the kitchen table and watched Kara stare at it like it might bite her. Why is it so thick? She asked. Because your husband has money, I said. And money hides behind paper. Kara rubbed her face. This is humiliating. Good, I replied. Humiliation is a great teacher. It just usually charges interest. My mom made a noise like she didn't approve of my tone, but she didn't argue. Not today. Today, she was too busy stress cleaning the same countertop over and over like bleach could erase a legal battle. The temporary orders hearing happened over video. Kara sat in my parents' dining room with her laptop propped on cookbooks, hair pulled back, no makeup, wearing a plain sweater that didn't scream, I'm rich. It was the most honest I'd ever seen her look. Alicia Monroe appeared on screen in a navy blazer, calm and sharp. Grant's attorney Caldwell showed up in a suit that looked like it had never seen a real problem. Grant wasn't on camera. His square was black with his name typed in. Of course he didn't show his face. He liked control. Faces are harder to control. The judge was direct, asked basic questions, focused on access, not drama. Alicia made a simple argument. Grant cut Kara off, pressured her to sign, and she needed temporary support and access to documents. Caldwell tried to make Kara sound unstable. She's emotionally volatile, he said, voice smooth. She's exaggerating. My client has offered fair transitional support. Transitional support, I muttered under my breath, like she's switching phone plans. Kara shot me a look. The judge asked one question that mattered. Did he restrict her access? Caldwell tried to dodge. The accounts are primarily in my client's name. The judge's eyes didn't change. That's not what I asked. Alicia calmly held up the agreement page on screen. Your Honor, he offered funds only if she waived rights and agreed to move out. That's pressure. The judge issued temporary relief enough to cover basic living expenses and ordered certain financial documents produced. It wasn't a grand victory. It was just the first time in weeks Kara could breathe without begging Grant for air. When the hearing ended, Kara let out a shaky laugh. He looked mad. You didn't see him, I said. I could feel it, she replied. That was the first time she'd said something that sounded like a person, not a performance. Then, because the universe loves timing, my phone rang. Daycare. I stepped into the hallway. This is Vanessa. Hi, Ms. Donnelly, the director said. Miles has a fever. He's not feeling well. My stomach dropped. I'll be there. I hung up and went back into the dining room. I have to go, I told my mom. My mom blinked. Go where? Miles is sick, I said. I'm driving back tonight. Kara's eyes widened. You can't leave. You have Alicia, I said. You have Evan. You have a court order now. You'll survive. Kara's mouth twisted like she wanted to scream, but she held it in. That was progress. Ray spoke quietly. Vanessa, you've done enough. I looked at him. I've done what I always do. Handle it. I grabbed my bag, drove straight to Virginia, and walked into daycare with that familiar tight feeling in my chest that every parent knows the mix of worry and irritation because your kid is sick and you can't control it. Miles was curled up on a little Matt Cheeks flushed dinosaur tucked against his chest. Mom, he mumbled when he saw me. I got you, I said, scooping him up. He was warm, too warm. We went home. He fell asleep on the couch after some children's medicine and a cold washcloth. I sat on the floor beside him with my laptop open because life didn't pause for fevers. Kara called that night. I didn't answer. She called again. I still didn't answer. Finally, she texted, Why are you ignoring me? I replied, Miles is sick. Talk to Alicia. She didn't like that. Kara, I need you. You're the only one who understands this. I stared at the message and almost laughed. The only one. The same Kara who couldn't even say my job without rolling her eyes. I typed follow the plan. Kara he posted a picture. That got my attention. Not because I cared about Grant's social media, but because Kara cared. Kara lived for the illusion. I wrote what picture. She sent a screenshot. Grant at some event in a suit, smiling with a group of people. The caption was something bland about great night with great partners. Kara, he's acting like nothing is happening. I typed back, that's the point. Kara called again. Against my better judgment, I answered, keeping my voice low so I wouldn't wake Miles. What I said. Kara sounded wired. He's trying to make me look crazy. My friend in Houston said people are talking. Kara, I said, stop chasing what people are saying. I can't. She snapped. My whole life is. She caught herself, then exhaled. He's painting me like I'm unstable. I kept my voice flat. Let him. Court doesn't run on gossip. Kara's breathing sped up. I want to text him. I want to tell him he can't do this. No, I said. Vanessa, she whined, and it was the first time I'd heard her sound like a kid who didn't get her way. Kara, I said slower, every time you text him emotionally, you give him something he can use. He deserves it, she hissed. He deserves consequences, I corrected. Not your feelings on a silver platter. Kara went quiet, then said bitter, You act like you don't have feelings. I have plenty, I said. I just don't hand them to people who want to weaponize them. She sniffed. I'm going to send one message. Just one. I sat up straighter. Kara, don't. I already started typing, she said. I closed my eyes. Of course she did. Kara, I said, if you send anything, screenshot it first and send it to Alicia immediately. What she snapped. Because if you're going to make a mistake, at least make a documented mistake, I said. And don't threaten him. Don't insult him. Don't mention the other woman. Just state facts. Kara laughed once sharp. Since when do I do facts? Since your bank account stopped working, I said. There was a pause. Then she said, fine. I stayed on the line and listened to her breathing, waiting. A minute later, she whispered, I sent it. What did you say? I asked. Kara's voice was low, almost proud. I said, I know what you did. You moved things. You told me it was safer to put assets under someone else's name. I'm not signing anything until you give full disclosure. My stomach tightened. I said carefully, Kara, what exactly did you mean by under someone else's name? She hesitated. He said it once, like a year ago. He was bragging about how smart he is. He said, if you put things under someone else's name, no one can touch it. He was talking about a property. I leaned back against the wall, suddenly wide awake. Did you just put that in writing to him? Yes, she said, defensive, because it's true. That, I said slowly, is the first useful thing you've done in this entire situation. Kara went silent. I continued, send that screenshot to Alicia right now, and do not send anything else. Kara's voice trembled. What if he replies? He will, I said. And it doesn't matter what he says. It matters what he admits, Kara whispered. He's going to come after me. I glanced at Miles sleeping on the couch, his little chest rising and falling. You're not alone, I said, and I meant it in the only way I ever meant anything through action. Kara texted the screenshot a minute later. I forwarded it to Alicia and Evan with one line. This may be the thread. Evan replied almost immediately. Now that is interesting. Alicia replied, do not let her message him again. I stared at the screen, then at my sleeping son, then back at the screen, because in my world, there wasn't a clean line between being a mother and being the person who refused to let bullies' family or wealthy husbands rewrite reality. I printed Kara's screenshot and slid it into the front pocket of my binder like it was a weapon, because in court words are weapons when they're written down. Miles's fever broke the next day, and he went back to acting like nothing had happened, which is a gift kids have. Adults keep score. Kids just want snacks. I dropped him at daycare, went straight to base, and walked into my office like a normal person. I answered emails. I sat in on a meeting. I nodded at the right times. Then I stepped into a quiet corner and checked my phone every chance I got. Alicia messaged first. Alicia, we're pushing discovery hard. That text changes the angle. Then Evan. Evan, I ran public records on the property hint. Found something that doesn't match their everything's in Grant's name story. My pulse picked up. I called Evan on my lunch break and shut my office door again. Talk. Evan didn't waste time. Your sister's message said assets under someone else's name. That's vague, but it's enough to aim. I pulled Grant's known LLCs from Texas, SOS filings, then matched mailing addresses and registered agents. Okay, I said. 1 Alnia. LLC. Holloway Ridge Management uses a property management firm as its mailing contact, he continued. That same firm shows up on those PM fee payments Kara forwarded. I leaned forward. So the fee is real. It's real, Evan said. But it's not for their primary residence. What is it for? I asked. Evan paused like he enjoyed the suspense, which is an accountant's version of being dramatic. Colorado, he said. I blinked. Colorado. Yep. Aspen area, he said. Not a hotel, not a timeshare, a property, condo. My stomach tightened. Kara had been bragging about Aspen like it was a dream. Meanwhile, Grant had apparently made Aspen a business expense. How do you know it's Grant? I asked. I don't know. It's Grant personally on the deed, Evan replied. Because it's not. The sentence hung there. Whose name? I asked. Evan exhaled. A woman named Talia Mercer. I stared at my desk. Not because the name meant something to me. It didn't. But because this was the moment where the story stopped being divorce is messy and became this man built a maze. Is she a business partner? I asked. Evan let out a short laugh. If by business partner you mean someone he's using as a shield, then sure. My throat went dry. How is it connected? Deed records list this buyer as Mercer Peak Holdings, Evan said. Registered agent traces back to the same network as Grant's other entities. Same attorney group. Same mailing pipeline. And the condo's property tax bills, guess who pays them? I didn't have to guess. Evan answered anyway. Holloway construction accounts. Not directly, of course. Routed through consulting fees to Mercer Peak, then paid out. I sat back slow. He's moving marital money into property under another woman's name. Looks that way, Evan said. And here's the best part, the timing. The condo was purchased during the marriage. Payments have continued monthly. My jaw clenched. Evan's voice stayed calm. Alicia can use this. Texas courts don't like concealment, and they really don't like dissipation marital funds spent on a third party. Send everything I said. Every record, every link, every filing. Already did, he replied. Alicia has it. I hung up and stared at the wall for a second, because I could picture Kara's face when she realized this wasn't just about money. It was about being replaced. I didn't feel joy. I felt focus. That afternoon, Alicia called me while I was walking out to my car. Vanessa, she said. We have enough to pressure him into producing more. Colorado, I said. Alicia's tone sharpened. Yep. Your accountant is good. He's annoying, I said. But yes. Alicia gave a quick laugh. We're scheduling mediation, and we're filing a motion to compel additional disclosures. He's going to fight, but that's fine. Fighting costs him. What do you need from Kara? I asked. Alicia's voice turned serious. I need her to stop being Kara. I snorted. That's like telling a fish to stop being wet. I'm not kidding, Alicia said. This is where people blow it. They get emotional, they post, they text. They do something stupid and the other side uses it. I know, I said. I'll keep her on a leash. Not your client, Alicia reminded me. Not my client, I agreed. But still my problem. That evening I called Kara. She answered with a bitter, "What now?" "Sit down," I said. Kara scoffed. "I'm already sitting." "Then hold on to something," I replied. She was silent for half a beat. "You're being weird." I kept my voice flat. "We found a property." Kara's breath caught. "What kind of property?" "A condo," I said. "In Colorado." Kara didn't speak for a second. Then Aspen. "Yes." Her voice turned sharp. "We've never owned anything in Aspen." "That's correct," I said. "You haven't." Kara's breathing sped up. "What does that mean?" "It means marital funds have been paying for it," I said. "But it's not in your name. It's not in his name either." Kara's voice went quiet. Too quiet. "Whose name?" "A woman named Talia Mercer," I said. The line went dead silent. Then Kara made a sound that wasn't a word. Like her throat was trying to decide whether to scream or throw up. "Say that again," she whispered. I repeated it. Kara's voice cracked. "Who is she?" "I don't know," I said. "But the documents tie her to an LLC connected to Grant's network. The property is being paid for through layered transfers." Kara laughed once ugly. "So he bought his mistress a ski condo." I didn't correct her because it was the simplest explanation. And simple explanations are usually right. Kara's voice jumped up. "I knew it! I knew it! That's why he—" "Kara," I cut in. "Listen to me. This isn't a moment for you to go nuclear." "Go nuclear," she snapped. "He ruined my life." "He's trying to," I said. "And you're not going to help him by doing something stupid." Kara's breathing was fast and ragged. "I'm going to call him." "No," I said immediate. "I'm going to text him." "No," I said again. She hissed, "You can't stop me." "Yes, I can," I said. "Because if you do that, Alicia will get blindsided in mediation, and then the only person you'll punish is yourself." Kara went silent, and I could hear her fighting her own impulse. Finally, she whispered, "What do I do?" "You do nothing," I said. "You let Alicia do her job. You let Evan do his. You keep your hands off the grenade." Kara gave a shaky laugh that sounded like she hated me for being right. "You love this." "I love paperwork," I corrected. "This part is just a bonus." Kara didn't laugh. "Tomorrow is mediation prep," I said. "Alicia will walk you through what to say and what not to say. You will not go off script." "I hate scripts," Kara muttered. "You loved scripts when you were the one writing them," I said. "Now you're not." She swallowed hard. "Is this real?" "It's real," I said. "It's on record." Kara's voice dropped into something small and raw. "He really planned to leave me with nothing." "Yes," I said. "And he planned to look like the reasonable one while doing it." Kara exhaled. "My whole life was built on him," I finished because she couldn't. She didn't deny it. I didn't comfort her with soft words. Kara didn't need comfort. She needed stability. And stability looked like boundaries and instructions. Before we hung up, I said, "One more rule." Kara's voice was flat. "Of course there is." "You do not talk to Mom and Dad about this condo," I said. "Not yet." What she snapped. "Because Mom will panic about reputation, and Dad will defend Grant by accident," I said. "And then you'll spiral. Save your energy for the people who matter in court." Kara let out a bitter laugh. "So basically, I can't trust my own parents." I kept my tone even. "Now you're learning." After the call, I sat at my kitchen table in Virginia, with my laptop open, Miles's homework scattered beside it, and my binder in front of me. The name Talia Mercer stared up from the printed deed record like it had been typed in all caps. In the Navy, there's a moment before a big evolution where everything goes quiet. Not peaceful, quiet, focused quiet. The kind of quiet where everyone stops talking because it's time to execute. I felt that quiet settle in my chest as I highlighted one line on the record, then another. Because Grant Holloway had spent years building layers between Kara and the truth. And the funny thing about layers is they only work until someone starts peeling. I closed my laptop, washed a sticky plate Miles had abandoned in the sink, and told myself I wasn't going to check my phone again until he was asleep, then I checked it anyway. Alicia had sent a calendar invite mediation prep 0900 Central Standard Time. Evan had attached a spreadsheet with a subject line that made me smile despite myself, Grant's little money maze. I wasn't going to Texas for mediation. I couldn't. I had a job that didn't pause because my sister married a man with a shell company addiction. But I was on the prep call headset and taking notes like it was a brief. Kara joined late. Of course she did. Alicia didn't scold her. She just said, "We start now." Kara's voice sounded tight. "Okay." Alicia laid it out clean. "Mediation is not therapy. You don't vent. You don't perform. You answer questions and you let me talk." Kara muttered, "I hate this." Alicia replied, "That's fine. Hate quietly." I almost choked on my coffee. Alicia continued, "The leverage is concealment and dissipation. The condo in Colorado is a problem for him. Not because he cheated Texas courts, aren't your moral police, but because he used marital funds and tried to hide it. That triggers consequences. Kara's voice sharpened. So he can cheat and still win. Alicia didn't blink. He can cheat and still have money. He cannot hide money and stay clean. That was the first time Kara truly understood what this was. Not a romance tragedy, a financial crime story with a wedding ring. Alicia said, "We are seeking a fair division plus reimbursement for concealed and misused funds. We are also pushing for attorney's fees." Kara exhaled, "Okay." Then Alicia said the thing Kara didn't want to hear. "We are not seeking to destroy him." Kara snapped, "Why not?" "Because your goal is to get out with your future intact," Alicia said. "Revenge makes people sloppy." I didn't speak, but I felt that land. Kara's whole personality was built on winning visibly. This process demanded she win quietly. That was her nightmare. By the end of the prep call, Kara sounded drained, but steadier. Alicia sounded exactly the same as when she started, calm, sharp, mercilessly practical. Evan texted me after. "If Grant's smart, he settles. If he's arrogant, he tries to explain spreadsheets to a judge." I replied, "He seems arrogant." Evan, "Great. Judges love arrogant." The day of mediation, I had Miles's breakfast on the table, my uniform on, and my phone propped against a mug, like I was running operations out of my kitchen. Miles stuffed cereal into his mouth and said, "Mom, why are you staring at your phone?" "I'm supervising," I told him. He squinted, like a boss. "Exactly," I said. Kara called during my drive to base. I put her on speaker. "Are you in the room?" I asked. "Yes," she said, voice low. "Grant is here. He looks normal. Like this is a meeting about paint colors." "That's his comfort zone," I said. "Don't let it get in your head," Kara whispered. "He keeps smiling at me like I'm stupid." I kept my eyes on the road. Let him smile. Smiles don't change documents. Alicia's voice came through in the background. "Kara, phone away. Now!" Kara muttered, "Okay," and the call ended. I walked into my office, sat down, and tried to do my actual job. I reviewed a command policy draft, answered a question from a junior officer, signed off on an administrative memo. Normal day, except my sister's life was being negotiated in Texas, while I was telling someone they needed to fix their leave paperwork. At 11:18 a.m., my phone buzzed. "Alicia, they're offering more. Still low, we're holding." At 12:40 p.m., Alicia Caldwell is pushing the "she contributed nothing" argument. I reminded him, Texas doesn't grade wives. At 1:05 p.m., "Evan, they're trying to claim condo as investment property unrelated. That's cute." At 2:17 p.m., Alicia, Grant is getting uncomfortable. At 3:03 p.m., Alicia, new offer includes lump sum plus monthly support for 18 months plus fees. Still not accounting for dissipation. I stared at the message, then typed hold. She didn't need my permission, but I knew what still not accounting meant. He was trying to buy silence without paying for the lie. At 4:11 p.m., Kara's number popped up. I answered, stepped into a quiet corner, and said, "Talk." Her voice was shaking, but not with panic this time. With anger that had direction. "He's denying everything," she whispered. "He said Talia is a business associate. He said the condo is structured. He said I'm misunderstanding." I kept my tone flat. "What did Alicia say?" She slid the deed across the table, Kara said, and I could hear it, Alicia's style. "Simple, clean, deadly." Kara swallowed. Then Grant said something stupid. My eyebrows lifted. "How stupid?" "He said that property isn't even mine." Like that solved it. I exhaled once, and Alicia responded. Kara's voice dropped into something like awe. She said, "Exactly, that's the problem." I almost smiled. "Good." Kara's breathing steadied. "Vanessa?" I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw my ring at him. "And you didn't," I said. "I didn't," she admitted. "I just sat there." "That's growth," I said. She let out a bitter laugh. "Don't congratulate me. I'm still furious." "Be furious later," I said. "Right now be useful." Kara whispered, "Okay." She ended the call, and I went back to my desk, because that's the other thing I've learned. You can't let someone else's crisis make you careless in your own life. Careless gets people hurt. At 5:36 p.m., Alicia texted, "Alicia, settlement reached. Fair division. Condo accounted for. Fees included. NDA, limited no, gagging her about finances. Signing tonight." I stared at the screen for a long second. Then I exhaled slow. Not excitement, not celebration, relief. Kara called Ons. An hour later, her voice sounded different, flat, stunned. Like she'd been sprinting for weeks and finally stopped. "It's done," she said. "Yes," I replied. "It's done." She waited like she expected fireworks from me. I didn't give her fireworks. She said quieter. He looked at me like I was nothing, like I was replaceable. I kept my voice steady. That's who he is. It's not who you are. Kara swallowed. I don't know what I am. That's your problem to solve, I said, not unkindly. But you have resources now. Use them. There was silence. Then Kara said, you were right about one thing. I didn't jump on it. I just waited. She forced it out. He used you as a threat. He said he didn't want me to become you. I didn't respond. Kara continued, voice tight. And the worst part is, he said it like you were the loser. I held the phone tighter, and Kara's voice cracked. And you're not. That was as close to an apology as Kara could get without choking on it. I said I know. She let out a shaky breath that sounded like she hated that I didn't argue. Over the next month, Kara stayed in Ohio longer than anyone expected. She didn't bounce back into a new perfect life overnight. She tried to, of course she did, but the sparkle was gone. She got a small apartment. She started looking for work. She complained about everything, but she did it while doing the work, not while waiting to be rescued. My parents tried to act like the whole family got through it together. I didn't correct them. I didn't need to win that argument. I went back to my routine. Base, briefs, Miles's daycare drawings, the constant balancing act. One night, after I tucked Miles into bed, he grabbed my sleeve and said, Mom, are you still the boss? I smiled, yes. He yawned, good. Because Aunt Kara talks too much. I know, I said, brushing his hair back. When I walked out of his room, the house was quiet in that simple, honest way. No marble floors, no chandeliers, no fake laughter. Just a small place I paid for a life I built, and a kid who thought his mom mattered. That was the only scoreboard I cared about. And somewhere in Texas, Grant Holloway was learning the lesson men like him never expect to learn. The person you dismiss as useless is the one who reads your paperwork carefully enough to take your power away. If you're into revenge stories, and family drama with real-life stakes, especially the kind where a military woman refuses to be treated like background noise, make sure you subscribe to the channel. New stories drop regularly, and you don't want to miss the next one.